What an experience we had at the weekend just gone. We took on the Drive Silverstone experience, driving a Formula car. So really ticking off one of them sort of bucket list moments of actually driving a single-seater Formula car outside of the likes of your go-karting, that kind of thing. And I tell you what an incredible experience it is. Now, we are giving you the full video in this, so yes, the video is recorded. This is something we'll touch on shortly by the Silverstone team. And it is the whole inside of Stowe circuit that we are going to be taking on these Formula cars. Now, the main circuit is reserved for the big boy cars. It's reserved for your McLaren experiences, your Ferrari experiences, Aston Martin, you name it. You can obviously have laps on the proper Silverstone circuit as well. Obviously, that comes at a cost, but we got there nice and early. We headed up to the Silverstone wing, and at the Silverstone wing, you could get a complete view of the pit straight and the final few corners, and you can see the McLarens, Aston Martins, Ferraris, some BMWs absolutely hurling around the circuit, and what a noise. So definitely on the bucket list as well for next time. So the Formula Drive Silverstone experience, here we are out there already, and we're looking at doing some basically warm-up laps behind the pace car first of all. But going back shortly, just before I leave you anyway with the whole video, we got here nice and early. So for example, our experience was booked for 10 past 11. They recommend you get there around an hour before to give you enough time to make sure you don't miss your experience. Now, unlike other experiences, I kind of expected to be on the track at 10 past 11. However, we were only called for the safety briefing at 10 past 11. So you definitely got to make sure you are there in advance. And there's always plenty to do if you are. Watch the cars go around Silverstone. You can watch the Formula cars on the inside as well at Stowe. And yeah, you've got plenty to do. A little shop in there and a big screen to watch any sort of racing that they've got on at the time as well. So we did the experience, we did the safety briefing first. That was about 25 minutes to half an hour. They kept it pretty fun as well, pretty sort of comedic value in there to keep it nice and light, but also going through all the real key do's, don'ts, where to overtake, making sure that you are enjoying the experience and safely as possible. So what the format is you get half an hour of track time pretty much, and that half an hour is made up of pretty much two sessions. You've got the first session, which is 10 minutes long, and what you do is you go out in groups of around 4 cars, and there is 3 groups of 4 on my experience, and you've got a BMW 1 Series that takes you round. You're all at different sections of the track, and what they do is they just let you get up to speed with the car. Now, you have got a clutch, you have got a brake pedal, you've got the accelerator, the gas as well. You've also got a 4-speed gearbox in there, so really recommend to learn the gears. Now, first and second is only really for pulling off. You're only going to be staying in third for the corners, 4 for the straight pretty much. So there's only really back and forth you'll go, and it's not as simple as you think, because it is almost like just a random piece of steel that you're pretty much moving into gear. It's not like your normal road car where you just change it, and it's on the right hand side. So everybody who's in the UK, your gearbox changing gear is on the left, it's on the right, so it does throw you. So use this time. You can see me staying back from the cars ahead, just trying to go through the gears and make sure that I am fully up to date with how to do it, because if you do watch this video later on, you'll see me miss gears, and obviously if you've got no sort of gear braking to slow you down, some engine braking, it gets pretty hairy at times. But overall, this 10-minute session, really good for just getting up to speed. And what they do is within that 10 minutes, they keep on bringing the pace up. Now, personally, I like to stay back a little bit and then throw it into some corners just to really try and get my grip. Now, on the right-hand side, you'll see a yellow cone there. That is the point of entry. On the left-hand side, you'll see another yellow cone. That is the exit. So they really try and give you the lines, and they showcase the lines that you can race as well. So you've got 12 people. What you'll do is you'll do the 4, you kind of get about 3 or 4 laps maybe behind, well, let's call it the safety car for this experience. And what they do is they bring you back into the pit lane. Once you're back in the pit lane, they confirm over that you are happy, you've got any questions. If not, they will then start to send you out. So what they do is they send you out in probably a good like 5-6 second gap between the cars to really try and give you that space of a track time. Now what we found is once they let the first car out, I was the final car to go out off the 12 and I was just ahead of the final car coming round. Now you will see later on I do get lapped, but that is because they've already got a lap under their belt. But after that, it's pretty much go, go, go. Now, a few things that you have to consider is there is no overtaking in the corners. There is no late lunges, no absolutely bumping people. It is seriously not allowed. Now, this is a case of you can only overtake on the straights, and you can only overtake on the straights if you are authorized to do so. So what you'll see is later on, you'll see people with blue flags at the start of each straight. So the sort of marshal posts. And what they do is they point to the car that's holding people up. They will point and wave the blue flag, and then what happens is you will overtake them on the left hand side. Now I got a little bit confused, which you'll see later, and I did let that first car go and I moved to the right, and being British we usually overtake on the right, so I get all confused, put my hand up and wave, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm on the right side, that's what I need to do. So it does get you a few laps to get in the speed of things. Now with about 20 minutes of track time for yourself amongst the other cars without the safety car, you will go ahead and probably complete around 17 to 18 laps. It's just over a mile, the circuit, and you've got really about 17, 18 laps of pace. Now you will come across the back markers, the slower cars, and they will hold you up. You can't get clean laps all the time, and you'll see I don't rarely get a clean lap. But what you've got to remember is they are here for the experience as well as you are, and that's something they do mention in the briefing. You can still see them yellow cones, and after the big straights you will also see the brake board, so you're not going into it blind. You have got brake boards to tell you when to brake. You can see the brake board just on the right tells you what corner's coming up as well, just in case you're a little bit forgetful, and it just really does help you instead of a lot of people thinking, I don't know where to brake, where do I go? So you'll see this coming up the straight again. Obviously keep right later on once you're relieved of the pace car. Obviously you have to stay in a queue at the moment. So you can see me dropping back, hurling down. You've got the brake coming up here, and that is where you brake, and then obviously into the corner. Yellow line is your entry point. Obviously yellow cone again on the left, look, exit point, and that is where you need to be. Now I will say this is an absolute fantastic experience. It is one of the best things I have done, and it really has fueled the bug to go and do something like this again. I mean, to get the opportunity to do it was absolutely incredible. It just shows what is out there. It's worth every penny. Now, the one thing that I will say, you can hear it right now, is they do give you this camera. Every car is fitted with a camera so that you can take home your recording. Now there is a cost to the recording of £40. Now looking at the visual quality, I would say that's pretty good, and it's an experience that I will watch back and just give me an indication as what I do behind the steering wheel. However, the one thing I did notice is they did put a microphone on the front of the camera. Now this is to pick up any vocals that you make. If you start screaming into a corner, the microphone is going to know about it. If you start swearing, which I generally thought I might do if people don't move out the way, then you might hear the same again. But the one thing I did notice, because there's no cover on this microphone, you do get all that wind feedback, and I've tried to do a little bit of editing. There's no real way to get that out. Here you can hear, I mean, you get a sense of how fast we may be going. You've got no speedo in there to tell you, just a rev counter. But overall, I mean, I'm always going to take it. £40 for the video of an experience that I've done, I'm 100% gonna take. Now, there's not much negativity to say around this experience at all, and I think just a few little hiccups that I had during or before the start wasn't enough gloves for everybody, so they had to wait for the gloves to come off the other drivers that had come off the previous session. When we are racing, what you'll see is cones get hit, and of course cones will get hit. We're all pretty much amateur drivers out here. However, them cones remained for the session in the track. So when I was released for the very first time, somebody had hit the cone at the end of the straight, and when you're going into the corner thinking you know what it is, and suddenly there's a cone in the middle, it completely throw you. So that's the one negative I would say. There's no one really out there to reset cones. I mean, it'd be a pretty hard job to do, but it'd be nice if they could reset cones, because after 1 lap, 2 laps, and people have started clipping, the track changes, and that chicane is now a very tight chicane that you once was racing through. So you can see here we're slowing down, and what I will do is leave you to hopefully enjoy my free air experience, or overtaking, or battling the lines in full throttle. And what you do here is you've done them 4 or 5 laps behind the pace car, got up to speed, and it's time to come back in. So you're only in here for a couple of minutes, you'll line back up, you'll get them released, but it's just making sure that you are happy with what it is. You can see the BMW 1 Series just at the front of the picture there as we come back in. So forgive the wind, because that is one thing that obviously does pick up. I don't talk through this either. I am so concentrated on believing in my inner F1 driver ability, and trust me, karting is something I haven't done for 4, 5, 10 years, let's say. But to actually experience this was absolutely incredible. And yeah, I 100% have got the bug and want to do it again. I highly recommend. And you can see here the guy just confirming that I am happy with it. There you go, all good. I am ready, set to go. And what they'll do now is start dragging them people out. And as soon as they do, I will leave you in the hands of the video and make sure that, well, hopefully you enjoy watching me go around the track. It's going to be windy. You're going to see some interesting lines. Obviously, always looks a little bit slower on video. Trust me, I'm not that slow, really. And yeah, it's a case of just queuing up. Everybody gets out there. But definitely look to do an experience like this. Iconic of Silverstone, you've obviously got the Stowe circuit. You're driving a Formula single-seater car. I mean, your next best is some high-spec machinery elsewhere. And to sit there, witness the Silverstone circuit being used by McLarens, Ferraris, Aston Martins, BMWs, you name it, they're out there. And yeah, I've got the bug, and it was a phenomenal experience. At the end of the session, when you do come back in, obviously you provide the camera back to the person, and they give you a QR code even to scan. So you can go ahead, scan the QR code and pay for your video if you wish, or they give you around an 8-second clip, for example, if you want it. What you also get is, if you've imagined yourself being in a go-karting track, you get that time print sheet out at the very end. So you get to go and review all your lap times from every single lap, and you get to see yourselves competing against all the other people that are in the session, and they will also show you the lap times, or the best lap time of them. For myself, I probably found there's quite a lot of traffic at all times on the circuit, and the best lap time that I completed was the very last lap time of it. So lap 17, right towards the end of the video. I think I got free air for once and managed to really put in a lap time that I was very happy with and was on the edge of my seat. So really, for me, I got everything out that I wish. I do kind of wish that I'd been a little bit braver into the braking sections, especially at the end of those straights, because at the end of the day, all you're going to do is potentially lock up and hit some cones. Obviously, if you leave a big enough gap to the car in front, that is. Whereas for me, I was a little bit hesitant going into them corners, whereas I could have shaded a good few seconds off my lap time. But we're shortly going to leave you into it. The Formula Drive Silverstone experience, single-seater, just under around 20 minutes of track time to come. And here you go. Off we go. Forgive the wind, but we're racing. It's lights out, and away we go.